But you should know, does anyone remember that time when she got carried away by Hurricane Sandy? Take a look. Thank you. A bizarre video shows a bull casually mounting a scooter and riding it. Wow, would you look at that? Huh? Joy Behar can ride a scooter.
A tense exchange unfolded on live television as Joy Behar, co-host of The View, faced sharp criticism from Fox News personalities Greg Gutfeld and Timpf. The confrontation escalated quickly during a political discussion, with both commentators delivering pointed remarks that left Behar visibly frustrated. The segment sparked widespread commentary online, with viewers reacting to the intensity of the moment. Though no physical altercation occurred, the clash highlighted the growing polarization in televised political discourse.
I want to hit myself in the face so I can feel something. You know, it's like so boring. He's like, yeah, I like Instacart, but don't worry, I tip the poors. But, you know, Joy, you actually don't like Instacart, and you do like the store. And then Joy is like, yeah, I do. I like to go to the store. I like to walk around and see what's at the store, what I do want, what I don't want. Maybe I want tuna fish, and I just want to hit myself in
The broadcast began like many others on a network still holding to its claim of delivering serious journalism. A familiar panel of veteran television hosts took their seats, each contributing to a conversation marked more by dramatic flair than substantive insight. As they exchanged commentary, their collective energy veered toward performative outrage, with each voice attempting to rise above the others. The discussion, though animated, often felt more theatrical than informative, underscoring the growing perception that cable news has become more about spectacle than substance.
Behar accused Elon Musk of being pro-apartheid, but then begged him afterwards not to sue. Musk lawyers have yet to comment because they're still checking to see if it's legal to sue a cow.
Shots fired.
Just a legal question. I don't know why it's so upsetting. I don't make the rules in this country. All right.
At the center of the broadcast was Joy Behar, once again commanding attention with her impassioned commentary. Known for her outspoken style, Behar launched into a fervent monologue, marked by dramatic language and emphatic gestures. Her delivery, saturated with urgency and rhetorical flair, suggested a conviction that the stakes were nothing short of monumental. For viewers familiar with her style, it was a continuation of the high-energy, emotionally charged presence she consistently brings to daytime television.
Some news, the feral monsters of The View say they've never heard of you-know-who. True, the show that makes mornings hell claim that my name doesn't ring a bell. It's time for
Our View on The View. Ugh.
Yeah, the witch's coven finally shows me some lovin'. Yesterday on The View, yours truly was the subject of conversation. Apparently the broads have no idea who I am, or so they say. Hit it, Gladys.
They said that Gutfeld talks about you all the time.
Who is he? Really, who is he?
I don't watch the show.
He has a show.
I don't watch the
never
show.
heard of him.
Yeah.
I guess he's just obsessed with me.
No. Next, Joy's going to say she's never heard of carbs.
But this time, the dynamics shifted, as Joy Behar delivered another impassioned segment, marked by her signature blend of indignation and conviction. A response was quietly taking shape elsewhere. Across town, Fox News personalities Greg Gutfeld and Timpf, both known for their sharp wit and acerbic commentary, were preparing a pointed rebuttal. Their approach, calm yet cutting, stood in stark contrast to the dramatic energy in Behar's studio, setting the stage for a clash that would soon ripple across media circles.
Seriously, her denial of knowing me is as believable as her red hair. But obsession? I mean, come on, Joy. Where would you even get that idea? Like Joy Behar's face, it's looking worse and worse by the day. More full of crap than Joy Behar after a night of scotch and Taco Bell. Her being named Joy is like me being named ugly. Joy wasn't there on the show. Apparently Mondays are her days off when she feeds in the pasture. It now smells like a humid day inside Joy Behar's moo-moo. And the motives stink worse than Joy Behar's jog bra. I mean, assuming she jogs. Oh, wait, there she is.
Unlike the often high-volume exchanges seen on daytime panels, the response from Greg Gutfeld and Kat Timpf relied less on theatrics and more on sharp wit. Their use of irony and sarcasm functioned with precision, cutting through political posturing with ease. Even the usually boisterous atmosphere on Behar's set seemed to shift, as if the moment carried more weight than the typical segment. Behar, a long-standing figure on The View, has built her brand on dramatic political commentary, often punctuated by expressive reactions, impromptu historical references, and emotionally charged monologues. To her supporters, she is a bold truth-teller. To critics, her style borders on theatrical excess. Into this familiar rhythm entered Gutfeld, known for his dry, unaffected delivery and ability to dismantle arguments with calm derision. In this latest exchange, it wasn't just another round of commentary. It was a performance that, for some viewers, redefined the tone of the debate.
I'm also not surprised that there's one part of the video from the show yesterday that you left out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, can we roll that, please?
I don't watch the show that much, but I've seen it.
Who is that? Who is that?
Greg Gutfeld's one of the hosts of The Five, who, if I don't have anything nice to say, I generally don't say anything at all. I would just say this, his show should be called Kat Timpf, not Gutfeld, because she's the funny one on it.
Somebody's flirting with little Cat over here.
Well, she's the Republican one at the table, but I just think as a libertarian, I'm always looking to find common ground with other people because nobody really shares my politics. So I find some common ground at The View where she thinks I'm funny and I agree.
Greg Gutfeld didn't need a debate stage or dramatic delivery to make his point. Relying instead on his trademark dry humor and measured tone, Gutfeld offered a few succinct observations that undercut the theatrics playing out on daytime television. Rather than engaging in a war of volume, he employed a style that highlighted what he saw as the excesses of Joy Behar's commentary. His critique was less a confrontation and more a reflection, one that let the moment speak for itself. He characterized Behar's impassioned remarks not as acts of bravery but as exaggerated performances, mistaking the format of a talk show for the gravitas of global diplomacy. Meanwhile, co-host Kat Timpf added her voice with equal impact but a different approach. Known for her composed demeanor and sharp analysis, Timpf delivered her rebuttal without raising her voice or resorting to personal attacks. Instead, she used precise language and calm logic to challenge what she saw as inconsistencies and emotional overreach. The result was a pointed critique that stood in stark contrast to the heightened tone it was responding to.
Here's Joy Behar talking about refusing to share a kidney.
I find that friends with a Trump supporter. I won't give them a kidney, but I could be friends with them.
Hey, Joy, it's a kidney, not a pizza. Of course, she's kidding at first, but then she goes on to explain the moral foundation for her resentment, and it's the same one that drives all deadly ideologies.
Kat Timpf's critique of Joy Behar's commentary was pointed and deliberate. Where Behar often favors emotional crescendos and impassioned rhetoric, Timpf responded with clarity and restraint. Her observations, delivered with calm precision, challenged the core of Behar's televised persona, suggesting that her style reflected performance more than substance. Timpf portrayed Behar not as a bold voice for justice, but as a figure caught in a cycle of theatrical outrage, where attention often seemed to outweigh insight. The contrast was stark, and the effect was immediate. Behar did not issue a response, and there was little to respond to. This was not a debate in the traditional sense, but rather a series of sharp commentaries that reframed the moment entirely. In the aftermath, media outlets moved quickly to interpret the exchange, with some labeling it unfair or unnecessarily critical. Yet among many online viewers, the reaction was swift and clear. They viewed the moment as a decisive one-sided dismantling of Behar's argument, delivered without theatrics or escalation.
If The View is your favorite show, you might be a little slow. Yes, it's time for
Our view on The View.
very serious music. They love to play the race card because logic for them is hard. On Monday's episode, the ladies tackled the Rittenhouse not guilty verdict, and true to their feckless form, their reaction was something to...
This moment extends beyond a single on-air exchange. It symbolizes a broader shift in media culture. Joy Behar represents a type of media personality who often confuses platform for power volume for value, and applause for accuracy. These figures are quick to take offense over trivial matters and frequently respond with exaggerated emotion. Greg Gutfeld and Kat Timpf's response laid bare this dynamic, revealing it as performance art disguised as serious commentary. Audiences have grown weary of being shouted at by voices that equate loudness with authority and passion with expertise. They seek insight rather than soap opera theatrics. Behar's on-air meltdown, though silent in response, was profound. The fissure appeared not just in her words but in her presence. The carefully maintained veneer of confidence and authority cracked, exposing the fragility beneath. She was not simply overwhelmed. She was outclassed. Remarkably, Gutfeld and Timpf achieved this with minimal effort, relying on sharp wit and pointed humor rather than aggressive attack. Their approach allowed Behar's own style and history to undermine her. It was like watching someone argue with a mirror, only to be undone by their own reflection.
Things have escalated, you guys. Last week, I said I agreed with the guest on The View. This week, I actually agreed with the host on The View. And not just because I'm off my medication. Don't worry, I'm not going to give the show too much credit because what was actually said on the show was not at all controversial. Watch.
All we have to do from now until January 21st is be with our families, be with our kids, do our jobs, make sure our checks don't bounce, make sure that we are taking care of ourselves and our families.
January 21st. Who gets that much time off? But other than that, there's no way anyone could have a problem with what she said, right? Except this is The View, so of course someone did. Yeah, actually I'm going to give the show even less credit because someone else on the show did see this as controversial, and I am not joking.
The true impact of the exchange came less from the words spoken and more from how starkly evident the situation became. Joy Behar's hold on relevance appears increasingly fragile, held together by little more than denial and familiarity. Her brand of televised outrage, once seen as compelling, now often feels exhausting and repetitive. Ironically, she has become a caricature of the very figures she criticizes. The timing of this perception could not be more significant, as audiences today increasingly seek authenticity, something Behar's performances struggle to convey, often coming across as insincere or staged. In contrast, Greg Gutfeld and Kat Timpf delivered their critiques with a precision and comedic timing that resonated widely. The reaction from viewers, both online and offline, was immediate and intense. Clips of the exchange spread rapidly, spawning memes and commentary. Meanwhile, Behar's silence following the segment spoke volumes. Known for her vocal presence, her lack of response was striking. No rebuttal, no sharp retort, only quiet. For someone whose media persona is defined by vocal engagement, that silence was perhaps the loudest statement of all.
He has a point. Maybe I am obsessed, but some people are obsessed with Bigfoot, and they don't get to see him on TV every afternoon. And if they did, could they tell the two apart? I don't know. But yeah, it's true. I am obsessed with her the way a mongoose is obsessed with snakes.
Joy Behar had an opportunity to reclaim the narrative, perhaps through self-deprecating humor or thoughtful reflection. But instead, the moment passed quietly. The spotlight dimmed, and the stage was left empty, not because she was pushed off, but because her performance could not withstand the scrutiny. Behar was not simply defeated in a debate or lost an argument. She was outmatched by contrast, standing beside commentators who neither needed to shout nor grandstand, who conveyed conviction without pretense. All they had to do was point and let the situation speak for itself, revealing that the emperor's new clothes were never truly there. The takeaway is clear. In an era where satire and sharp wit dominate, the loudest voice is not necessarily the most powerful but often the most vulnerable. Behar tried to roar, but Greg Gutfeld and Kat Timpf responded not with volume, but with subtlety and humor, allowing the audience to hear the echo of her own performance. The era of outrage equaling influence is fading, replaced by a demand for commentary that combines insight with wit and sarcasm that doesn't need to scream. Ultimately, this was not a debate or feud. It was a cultural moment, a vibe check, and one that Joy Behar failed while her critics succeeded.
Right, Kat, did you ever see such a group? It's amazing how Joy and Whoopi became the smart ones.
For me, the most shocking thing about the conversation was how truly boring it was. They're like, well, the cicadas, they're cicadas. Okay, but it was like every 100 years. No, it's every 17 years. Do you know how many Emmys this show has? 31.
31 Emmys.
This show has 31. I mean, I'd hate to see the conversations that don't make headlines.
Joy Behar's downfall didn't require a scandal, a viral moment, or a heated confrontation. Instead, it unfolded quietly and hilariously in full view of an audience well-versed in cringe-watching. Her carefully crafted persona, the all-knowing fiery daytime truth-teller, collapsed like a Jenga tower built from soggy takes and misplaced smugness. And no one had to push it over. Comedy, sarcasm, and cold common sense did the work. This wasn't a traditional takedown with shouting matches or social media battles. Behar's unraveling was self-inflicted, a slow-motion descent fueled by exaggerated self-importance. Over the years, she had built an image as a fearless commentator, the wise elder of daytime discourse, swatting away dissent like a courtroom judge rather than a talk show host. But somewhere along the way, boldness gave way to frantic bitterness. By the time Greg Gutfeld and Kat Timpf entered the scene with their trademark deadpan wit, Behar was already unsteady on a pedestal too high to sustain. Without direct confrontation, simply by being juxtaposed with hosts who could deliver sharp truths with humor and grace, she unraveled. It was less a battle of ideas and more like watching a mime throw a tantrum next to a stand-up comic. No contest. Even her style, caught somewhere between 2006 shoulder pads and an angry school principal vibe, highlighted how outdated her entire approach had become. The scariest reality for her supporters? This isn't a fluke or a bad day. It's the new normal. The media landscape and audience expectations have shifted, leaving the throne Behar once claimed vacant and creaking in an empty studio. Meanwhile, Gutfeld and Timpf returned to their usual roles, telling truth, cracking jokes, and dropping intellectual bombs that leave legacy media gasping. They didn't just win, they didn't even play the same game. So the next time Behar takes the stage with another impassioned all-caps lecture, she might want to check her surroundings, because somewhere in the corner of the internet, Gutfeld's smirk and Timpf's sigh are waiting. Not to argue or shout, but to remind her, the louder she screams, the funnier it gets.